Star Wars Episode 9 is set as a film by Disney and Lucasfilm that will end the Skywalker saga and the sequel trilogy itself. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, I wanted to focus in on this movie. We do know that J.J. Abrams is going to wrap up the entire Skywalker saga by also tapping into some prequel trilogy continuity as well as original trilogy stuff for this film. Now, we know that principal photography will be ending by February of 2019. Each month that rolls by, we are getting closer to that mark for the end of filming of this movie. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art and storyboard descriptions, etc. One of which specifically has all to do with some of the set designs and the set leaks that has all to do with the opening sequences for Episode 9. Specifically, both Oscar Isaac, John Boyega, and Eunice Watamo shot a scene on one of the opening scenes that takes place on a grassy world. This will also involve Dominic Monaghan's character and Naomi Ackie's character, who is rumored to be Lando Calrissian's daughter. It's said to be a sequence between both parties coming to an agreement for resources and fighters to join the fight against Supreme Leader Ren and the First Order. Another sequence involved Daisy Ridley with Anthony Daniels as C-3PO on the set of the Millennium Falcon, reading her passages of the Jedi texts. This is where the comic continuity comes into play for the film. Both Daisy and Anthony have short scenes together that has a sense of comedy between the two. One of the other sequences for one of the opening scenes involves the same grassy world with Dominic Monaghan interrogating an individual with a bag over his head. This may tie into the previous plot leak about Hux being captured by the Resistance. It's said a sequence was done in studio involving a CGI sequence for one of the opening space shots involving the grassy planet being shown in one of the frames. Very interesting stuff for sure. I wanted to go over the first piece that really does interest me a lot is, of course, both parties actually coming to an agreement about trading certain resources with each other. Now, if we look specifically at Star Wars Episode 9, this film, at least in the first act, is all about recruiting people around the entire galaxy to join the Resistance and to fight against the First Order and Supreme Leader Ren. So Naomi Ackie and Dominic Monaghan's character will be working together for a scene in the very beginning of this movie on this bizarre and unfamiliar grassy world, which honestly may or may not be Lothal. We'll have to wait and see. Now, we do know one thing, is that when it comes to Episode 9, J.J. Abrams gave Dominic Monaghan a very important part, as well as Matt Smith's part. We're not quite sure exactly who he's playing. He's rumored to be a young Palpatine in this movie. We'll have to wait and see if that actually comes into fruition. But when it comes to Dominic Monaghan's character interrogating an individual with a bag over his head, could this very well fall directly in line with that plot leak that we heard about, I would say, 2 weeks ago or so, about, of course, Donald Gleason's character, General Hux, being captured by the Resistance. And that's where the whole entire subplot comes into play, where essentially Hux is giving up information about the First Order to the Resistance in Episode 9, and that could absolutely answer some of the rumors that we heard about these past couple of months that Hux would be a mole within the First Order, if you will. Now, the other thing that I do want to go over, and some people may have a problem with this, is the sequence between both Rey and C-3PO, Daisy Ridley and Anthony Daniels, on the set of the Millennium Falcon, where C-3PO is actually translating the Jedi texts to Rey, teaching her about the Jedi Code and the ancient Jedi ways. So, with that being said, I know one of the biggest complaints about the character of Rey is that she always gets help, or that she always is able to adapt powers from others. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't necessarily agree with, is that she doesn't necessarily train on her own. Now, looking at C-3PO translating the texts, do I have an issue with that? Not necessarily. I think that it's a way of telling us how she's going to become a Jedi Knight in Star Wars Episode 9. At least they're going to tell us how that's actually going to work out. And we heard about this lightly before, about 2 weeks ago, that would actually have a role in this movie. After all, J.J. Abrams is not only borrowing elements from the prequels and the originals, but also from some of the video games, the comics, the books, the novels, and even some of the animated TV series like Star Wars Rebels. It would honestly make the Naomi Ackie character a little bit more interesting because as of right now, from what we have heard about her, we really don't know much, but from what it seems, she really doesn't have all that much to do with the plot in episode 9. So looking at, the whole concept here, in the opening sequences for episode 9, it's mainly on this grassy world. Where are we? Is this Lothal? Is this a different planet? We're not quite sure. Now, an ancient structure is also being developed for one of the set pieces for episode 9 that will be a part of one of the opening sequences in this movie. So I think that also lines directly up with these sequences as well. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.